Hello.
Hey, AJ.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So if everyone can just come back on screen, that would be great. Well, welcome. We're so thrilled. So I just wanted to introduce everybody before we kick off here. So Kelly O'Grady is our chief host and head of video. So she will be emceeing the event and will be introducing everybody. I will keep everybody's camera. The judges will be on camera the entire time. The pitching companies will only be on during your 10 minutes. So you'll have a 5-minute pitch where you share screen, and then it'll be followed by a 5-minute discussion. So AJ, I have you going first to make a comment, and then Rodana, and then Camden. So, basically it's a 5-minute discussion, questions, feedback that you have. There's no winner or loser. It's really about, what can we do to support you in your short-term and long-term goals. And yeah, so Rosemary will go first, Jose second, Bender third, and then Tony fourth. Am I missing anything, Kelly?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off everybody's camera, and I'm going to start the webinar, and it's going to have just a screen up with the judges, and we're going to just leave that up for 5 minutes while people come into the room. And then Kelly will kick us off, and then I'll bring the judges on screen. We'll bring Rosemary. When Rosemary, you're done, you don't come back, so you can just watch it. Then we'll bring Jose on, Bender, Tony, and then Kelly will thank the judges and close the event. We are on a really strict time schedule here, so it will go fast. So Kelly will, when you see the judges, when you see Kelly pop back on the screen, she will say, you have one last opportunity to make a comment or give feedback, and then we'll go on to the next. Okay, cool. So I'm going to turn off everybody's screen, and then we'll get right into it. You'll see the screen share come up, and it'll just be silent for about 3 to 4 minutes while we let people come in, and we'll probably kick off at 11:03. So thank you all so much. We're really excited about this one.
Thank you for having us. Excited to participate.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Good luck, everybody. Stop. Go.
All right, everyone, let's get going here. So thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Kelly O'Grady, .LA's chief host and correspondent and head of video here. I'm so excited to host our first startup pitch showcase of 2021. These were always so much fun last year, so we're happy to be able to continue highlighting companies and founders in our community, even if virtually. Hopefully by the end of 2021, we'll be doing this stuff in person. So our theme for today's showcase is diversity and underrepresented founders in Los Angeles. So all the companies that you're going to see here today, see here pitching, have diverse founding leadership. And because diversity breeds innovation and breeds success, it is absolutely crucial, I think we can all agree, to ensure that we seek out these founders and companies and give them a platform to share the really exciting things that they're doing. So I want to, most importantly, before we start off, thank and welcome our partner for this event, Bank of America, for being just such a fantastic collaborator in putting this on. So thank you so much for your support and your similar dedication to giving a voice and platform for these underrepresented leaders in our community. A couple quick things that I found interesting. So most recently, Bank of America, I think we had a little technical difficulty there. Sorry, guys. Most recently, Bank of America announced that they would invest approximately $150 million in 40 funds based in 21 markets across the United States. So these investments really underscore Bank of America's ongoing efforts to address the persistent gap that we're seeing in access to growth capital for minority-led businesses. So fantastic work there. And thank you again for partnering with us today. So at .LA, we similarly are committed to shining a light on the diversity and innovation in our community through telling stories across our articles, our videos, and our social media channels. So really excited for this event today. So today, without further ado, we have a stellar panel of advisors. I don't like to call them judges because there's no winners or losers in this. We just love to highlight a bunch of companies, they're doing really incredible things. But we've got AJ Reeland, who's a partner at Slauson & Company. We have Redonna Carpenter-Woods, Senior Vice President at Bank of America, and Camden McRae, who's an investor at Industrious Ventures. So before we get to hear from our lovely advisors, how this is going to work is we have 4 companies that we're going to hear from today. Each will have 5 minutes to share what they're doing with our advisors, with you. Our advisors will then ask them questions, give feedback for 5 minutes, and we'll go through that process 4 times until we go through our different companies. Now, like I said, no winners or losers. This is really just all about highlighting some really awesome companies. If you, as the audience, have questions, we want to make this interactive as possible. So just pop them in the Q&A function below, and we'll try and make sure that we get to them if we do have time. So before we get to our first company, I'd love for each of our judges to just introduce themselves, give a little bit about their background so we have context as the audience of where you're coming from with your feedback. So why don't we start with you, AJ?
Thank you, Kelly. And thank you to Annie and the rest of the .LA team and Bank of America for putting this on. My name is AJ Reeland. I am a co-founder, general partner at Slauson & Company. We're an early stage venture fund based here in LA, investing pre-seed, seed stage. Our mission is rooted in economic inclusion. So we are actively looking for founders from diverse backgrounds to support and help build the next innovative companies of the future.
Awesome. So excited to have you here, AJ. Redonna, let's welcome you.
Thank you, Kelly. And thank you to the .LA for the opportunity to join this startup pitch showcase. I am Redonna Carpenter-Woods. I'm market executive for the commercial bank business banking division here at Bank of America. My team and I support clients typically ranging from $5 million to $50 million in revenue. On behalf of Bank of America, it is a great pleasure to be able to partner with .LA and to participate in today's event as we encourage LA entrepreneurs and emerging business community. In Los Angeles, we support the business community through more than $1.3 billion in loans to small businesses and $10 billion loans to commercial businesses. So our support for the local community is an extension of an idea that we share not just with our clients, but also with our partners. What would you like the power to do? We are committed to connect everything our company offers for the personal and financial goals that will make our clients and this community thrive. With that, I'm glad to be here, and I'm fully looking forward to hearing these fabulous companies share their vision today. Thank you.
Thanks, Rodana. And why don't we round it out with you, Camden?
Yeah, so really excited to be here today. I've kind of been around the .LA story from the beginning, so just super excited to see how the community's evolved and really created something really special, even in the midst of COVID. I'm a co-founder and partner at Industrious Ventures, which is an early stage fund in LA focused on industry transformation. And I'm also really involved with Black VC on their leadership team for the last couple of years. In that group, if anyone isn't familiar, is largely focused on connecting the existing Black venture investors, and more recently in trying to provide access, educational opportunities to people that are looking to break into venture. So really broadly interested in supporting diverse founders, diverse investors, and trying to strengthen that community.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, all three of you, for being here. So let's get into it. It's going to run real quickly here, so might as well just hop right into it. So first up, we are going to have Gleam Network talking about their business. We're going to hear from founder Rosemary Stalter. Now, just wanted to mention before we hop in, Annie is going to be sharing the links of all these different companies. So if you want to learn more about them as they're pitching and they're sharing their mission with you, be sure to check out the chat function below. But without further ado, Rosemary, why don't you take it away?
Hi, everyone. My name is Rosemary, and I am with Gleam. We are a nonprofit organization that was born right here. I think I'm having a little difficulty in sharing my screen. There we go. We are a nonprofit organization that was born right here in Southern California, but our vision is global. We have a very strong mission. Wait, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty on sharing my screen. Can you see it?
Not right now. We saw it before.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So clock start over. Thank you for inviting me here today to share this virtual stage. As I said, my name is Rosemary and I am with Gleam Network. And we are a nonprofit organization that was born right here in Southern California. And our vision is global. Our mission is to provide mentorship and leadership development to the underserved and underrepresented communities within the restaurant and food service industry. The restaurant and food service industry is the second largest private employer in the United States and was targeted to employ over 15 million people by the end of 2020. We are also an industry that was impacted hardest by the pandemic. Now factor in a large portion of our workforce is employed in hourly and frontline positions. 52% are female and 50.4% are of ethnic minorities. Most businesses within the industry lack an ecosystem for leadership development. They do offer skill-based positions and apprenticeship training, but that's not nearly enough to grow your career. As a result, many professionals slow down in their growth and are constrained by their ability to max out their full potential while earning enough wages to support their families. That's where Gleam comes in. We believe we are in the business of unlocking human potential. We are committed to ensure that anyone with a desire to grow within our industry and put forth the effort has access to a great mentor, leadership development, and tools to really help them develop their skill set to help them grow. And we do not charge for those that we serve. In other words, all of our work is completely pro bono. Let me tell you a little bit about our programs. Our main program is our one-on-one mentoring program. We have experienced industry professionals that volunteer as mentors. Our mentees commit to a 6-month program and we launch a new program each quarter. We ask our mentees to commit to finding out their one big thing that we help them develop that will help further their career. We have customized programs for industry students, emerging leaders, and executives. With our student programs, we work with colleges so they actually get college credits for taking part of our mentoring program. And with all of our programs, we really prioritize the underrepresented communities. We also host bi-weekly virtual intimate learning circles, and our learning circles are helmed by our industry's most inspiring leaders. Gleam was born in April of 2020 when our founder, Sanjeev Razdan, put out a call to action on LinkedIn. Sanjeev's vision was to create a nonprofit that would help rebuild an industry that has given him so much in his career. His one post resulted in over 33,000 email, text messages, and phone calls. In just 9 short months, we have had 150 mentors, over 150 speakers, and over 100 mentees come through our program. Our board of directors, I could personally say, is just a group of rock stars. Of our 7 board members, 5 are females, of which 2 have held multiple CEO positions. Our advisory board is extremely diverse and includes Jerry Fernandez, who's the president and founder of the Multicultural Food Service and Hospitality Alliance, and Allison Ryan, who's the VP of Development for the National Restaurant Association's Educational Foundation. But we could not achieve nearly of all that we have without the help and support of our volunteers, our committee members, and our sponsors who have worked tirelessly to help us get us to this place where we are now. But we do have a compelling roadmap ahead of us. The demand for our services is even greater than we anticipated. And what's stopping us from global growth is funding. Now, as a startup, we are so proud of where we've come in less than a year. With our all-volunteer Gleam Dream Team, as I like to call them. But we know that we could do so much more. And we could service so many more people that are underserved and underrepresented within our industry by scaling quickly with the help of investment. So I'm asking for our audience and our judges to help us create a global footprint on what we're doing and looking to achieve so that we can help anyone that desires to grow within the restaurant industry the ability to get gleamed. I'm going to leave everyone today with testimonials from our mentees on how we have impacted their careers with our organization. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rosemary. So judges, invite you to ask away, and I will pop back on screen when we are hitting time.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. That was incredible, very much needed. I do have experience in the restaurant business, so I totally, and I have a shared passion for teaching leadership and entrepreneurship through entry-level employment. So I think you did a fantastic job of explaining the industry as well as the opportunity and the timing. I think that as well as why you're pretty well positioned to succeed in your mission. I think my only real feedback, and I think you were extending out the fundraising needs, right, and maybe providing more of a comprehensive picture of how far that $150,000 will go. I think your initiative, especially set up as a nonprofit, there's a lot of corporations that would be willing to kind of come behind and take advantage of the tax write-off, and quite frankly, the PR and marketing that being associated with what you're doing would, and the adjacency that would give you. But yeah, I think the main thing that I just really was excited to dig into is, what that would look like. And as I know you listed on a high level what that $150,000 could do. I do think you have a much larger opportunity, and I think people would love to support you in more ways. And then and to that extent, outside of just the capital, I think a lot of that money would go towards the things that you mentioned, but a lot of the people that would align have existing resources that they would want to contribute in kind. So I think just mapping that out a little bit further would really bring it home for me. But overall, I loved it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for the feedback.
Of course.
Rosemary, it's Radonna, and thank you very much for that presentation. I don't want to repeat what AJ just said, but you're certainly touching into a population that could certainly use your services. So it's definitely something that I think you can scale over time. I wanted to ask a couple of questions around your competitors. Do you have local competitors here in the LA market offering a similar service?
Not that we're aware of.
Okay, okay. So again, I think that you've got a very impressive board that you'll be able to leverage your resources there to help you. The 150 that you're requesting, can you share a little bit about how those funds would be used?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you so much for asking. So the first and major thing that we've just invested in is a technology platform that has embedded artificial intelligence that allows us to scale and grow, that will automatically match our mentors and mentees. As a startup, we actually did everything by hand, but really, and we have about 50 mentors and mentees for each program that comes into our quarterly cohorts. Our student program is a little bit smaller. But with this technology, we're able to scale and grow. And we're hoping by the end of this year, it'll allow us to have at least 500 mentors and mentees that go through each program.
Okay, thank you for that. I have one more question.
Yeah.
And what sources will you use to attract your students?
Well, that's what we're looking for also, to attract our students within the college programs or our mentees overall. Overall. So I'll start with our college programs. We work hand in hand with industry colleges and educational programs to help us attract college students. We actually have, recently what we've done is a lot of grassroots marketing and word of mouth. We use LinkedIn, social media, email campaigns. But what we're finding as we develop and we're really growing, that we're getting media placement, and our partners and volunteers are really helping us spread the words. And our partners are big organizations within the food and beverage industry, or organizations that work within the food and beverage industry that help us really put the word out and spread the information of what we're doing and what we're looking to achieve.
Thank you for that. That's my final question. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think just echoing everyone's sentiments around this really filling a need, and I'm particularly passionate about teaching and mentorship as well. I think one thing I'm curious about is the people that you kind of have slotted in as mentors. What type of training or programming do you do to kind of get them aligned with, what you want to share with the mentees?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. And that is something that has evolved and grown as Gleam has evolved and grown. So wherever we started to where we are now, it's a huge difference. And part of it is within this tech platform that everyone has to submit their information. And we have a program set out that we ask them to loosely follow. Now, our mentees are all looking for different things. Some are looking for marketing, some are technology focused, some are chef focused. So it's really tailored to what they're looking to achieve within the program.
Got it. And I assume that this is the case, but I always feel like a really powerful component of these mentorship programs is for the mentees to eventually become mentors. Is that something you guys have started to see already?
That is exactly what we're looking to do. And what we're finding is a lot of our mentees are not only becoming mentors as they finish up their first cohort, they've signed on again, but they're also leading our learning circle. So it gives them the ability to show their progress and have their voice heard as industry leaders within our network.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, judges and Rosemary, thanks so much. We are going to move on to our next presenter. So next, we're going to hear from Jose Barrera, who is, let's see here, the founder and CEO of Startup Starter. So Jose, take it away.
Jose, I think you're on mute.
God, let's try this again. Sorry. Hey, good morning.
There we go.
Hey, I'm Jose. I'm the CEO of Startup Starter. I just on the last slide. Startup Starter is a startup social network. We provide data-driven business solutions for entrepreneurs, investors, and service providers. I'm going to go into detail what that looks like in a bit. And the reason for our existence, the opportunity, is that as of 2020, every business is now an internet business. This is true whether you're trying to launch a mining company or a high-tech startup. The same principles apply. That is, you have to attract customers, convert customers, pay your employees. Basically, you have to open your computer, enter the grid, And according to how well you do, how well you spend your time, how good you with the tools, is how well your business is going to do. Straightforward. Our solution and our goal every single thing you're looking for. Robust and comprehensive, anything from funding and education all the way to no-code tools. So you can see, so we're trying to build something very robust so you can find everything you need. Territory, how much money they have. You can actually also find their needs, if they're looking for marketing, PR, sales, whatever they're looking for, and if they want to be contacted. This way, you have access to warm leads. We come from sales, and that was a big pain point for us, especially last year. So we want to really fix that. For investors, the same case, but it's more designed for deal flow. So you get access to the founders, pitch decks, diversity score, all the stuff you're looking for. You'll be able to find that. Our growth model, we took this page from the book of Amazon. So we expand horizontally. We partner with companies bigger and bigger, eventually owning the entire entrepreneurship market. Our umbrella gets bigger, we get stronger and more robust with every new partner. And working with us, partnering with us is good for business. Simple concept, the bigger we get, the more recognizable our brand is, the more people we attract, the more leads we can provide, more business for our partners. Beyond that, we do have an educational channel called Startup TV, and every course that goes live, we record these if it makes sense, and we make them available on demand on Teachable for our members to be able to access for free, and also be able to be upsold materials, whether it's how to build a pitch deck or how to convert customers. You can access all that stuff. Our business model is very straightforward. It's memberships. We do have affiliate programs with a lot of the companies, especially the ones that provide funding, but we want to make sure that we can make this as affordable for anyone as possible, especially for the entrepreneurs. And our market. So we're starting with the startup ecosystem, just because startups have a particular structure that everyone's used to, that we follow, that makes sense, and it's always innovating upon itself. However, what is taught in the startup ecosystem, if any of you guys have done Y Combinator startup school, it applies to everyone. How to build a good website is not just for a high-tech startup. This works for every single company out there. So once we have a model that works with startups, we're going to move into other verticals, such as Main Street restaurants, financial systems, and so on. Our team, we're all very diverse, cover everything from CTO, CEO, and head partnerships from every race. What we're looking for is $1.3 million in funding. However, at this stage, we are also looking for people that believe in what we're doing, partnerships, VCs that want to talk to us, that want to work with us and partner with us, advice, anything possible. We're glad to talk to you. And this is, you can find us. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jose. So judges, feel free to give some feedback.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jose. I love it. Love the branding. Love how intentional you are in creating value for, all three categories of folks: the investors, the service providers. Pretty clear cut, and definitely agree with you that it's something that folks kind of need. Almost kind of think of it as like when you move into a new apartment and you get your mailer with all of the stuff that, at least from the founder standpoint, like a business in a box type of solution. So yeah, I think the main thing, as I kind of, look at the different target demographics that you're kind of looking to round out the marketplace of sorts, is to kind of maybe, I would say, I would have liked to think of like a certain persona, right? Of like kind of a storytelling aspect of what a typical use for a founder or an investor or a service provider would be, being that everyone has, does have, if to try to create like the go-to destination for the mutual value that's kind of created. Because, I think all of us realize that whenever we get into a new venture, we get bombarded with a bunch of new service provider kind of offerings. So like really highlighting the intention. It's clear that you're looking to create value and not waste anybody's time. So yeah, that's the only real feedback that I was able to kind of take away from it. But overall, it was a very clean, well branded, and great story.
Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation, Jose. I really like the space you're in. Being in banking, you know, I'm always going to ask the same question, but I'm going to start with saying that we work with companies, although not in my division as a bank, we work with companies from startup to scale up. So this is a space that I'm interested in learning more about. I like your platform. And one of the things I was thinking as you were speaking is, where's the educational component? Because that's what happens typically at startup, is being able to get that education needed to really scale the business. So thank you for sharing that. My question then is, on the 1.3 million in funding, what are your plans for using that? How are you planning to use it?
Sure. So we have a strong team and we have a very techy team. But to build something scalable that can allow us to actually have millions of users as we evolve, we need a platform that can actually sustain it. So most of the money is going to go to that. And beyond that, just having right now, you know, there's 4 of us that are full-time. We all wear a bunch of hats. We work super long hours. And we know enough to know what we don't know. So having someone in-house that can do like marketing, for example, will be phenomenal. But mainly just having a tech platform that can actually scale up to millions of users and to maintain that every year.
Yeah, I really love what you guys are doing. I imagine though that kind of given how prevalent these trends are, there are probably a lot of others in the space. So I guess my first question is, how do you kind of differentiate from similarly positioned companies? And I guess beyond that, like, what do you see your kind of product and like go-to-market roadmap looking like?
Sure. So the biggest difference, because we're not the only ones doing something similar. I think the biggest and most successful is Y Combinator, right? However, their model is phenomenal for a fund of just, I'm going to teach everyone how to build the best unicorn, and then I'm going to hand select the best ones, bring them in, interview, and then invest. Anybody who's doing something similar has taken the same approach. The biggest competitor we have right now is called the One Valley, but it's the same concept, right? And it's a lot more expensive. We're going to teach you how to do the best things according to what we're looking for from our own agenda, and then we're going to pick those companies and invest in. For us, we don't really care what you're doing. If you want to build a micro startup or just a sustainable small business, that works with us. Beyond that, there is competitors strong in the startup space, but not outside of it, not as robust as we're doing. And then beyond that, our growth strategy of our go-to-market, we just partner with companies. So if we feel that you're a competitor, but you're not really, then we just partner with you and we bring that on board. We work with accelerators and funds as it is. And as long as we can keep on growing that and the market grows, we'll be fine.
Got it. Yep.
All right. Thanks so much, Jose, for sharing Startup Starter's mission. And by the way, Rosemary and Jose, we weren't able to get to 2 questions during the judges, but there are a couple of questions that you can answer. You can type answers to in the Q&A from some of our audience members. But thanks again for sharing. And next up, we are going to hear from Amanda Bender, the founder of Kilo. She goes by Bender though. So take it away, Bender. Excited to have you share with us.
Yes, thank you very much. So I will share my screen here. All right, wonderful. Let's jump in. I'm going to just pop my camera off for some bandwidth. I am currently in Mexico. All right, let's get started. So hi, I'm Amanda Bender, founder and CEO of Kilo. And I want to tell you a little bit more about Kilo. So one of the words in Kilo's brand personality is blunt. So let me be that and say what's up with men's mental health right now. Things have changed, the world is complex, and men are underserved, and mental health is at a crisis point. Half the population of the US is men, and mental health doesn't serve men right now. You cannot deny that there is a crisis, and men are underserved. Men die 3.5 times more often than women by suicide. The market's flooded with apps focused on physicality. Be stronger, lift more, be more, man up. They focus on quantitative metrics, easy to measure, but lacking in insight. Of course, the positive benefits of focusing on fitness are very real and undisputed, but it's only part of the story. There are mental health apps for men. We've seen an influx of them on the scene, but I'm going to be kilo blunt here. None of these apps are talking to men. I mean, be real. Who of you wants to download these apps? Are any of them memorable? There are services for women like Clue, CoStar, Shine, Flow, and all the meditation apps, but there's a real lacking of services for men. Men are looking for mental health tools now more than ever. We've specifically designed Kilo for its core audience. We've created an app to transform men into happier and healthier humans. So let's take a look. Had a feeling that might happen. So let's go back. All right, let's just pop down to why I'm doing this. So I was a therapist and worked in neuroscience research before making the jump to tech 5 years ago. For most of my adult life, my closest circle of friends has been men. And at the intersection of this facet of my personal life and my professional experience led me to the insight that Kilo was born from. Men, unlike women, are not socialized to monitor and reflect on qualitative markers, which leads to poorer mental health for men, which leads to an outside percentage of suicide. And this is how we think about the market landscape. In the upper right-hand corner, we have the quantified stuff, Oura Ring, Whoop, Strava, Fitbit. In the bottom right-hand quadrant, we have quantitative well-being, Strut Club, Barry's Boot Camp, Equinox. In the bottom left-hand quadrant, we have qualitative well-being overall, Talkspace, Calm, Headspace. And the upper left-hand quadrant, we have Kilo for the qualified self. We believe this is a blue ocean where mental health can be specifically targeted to men. I'm going to walk you through a user story. This is Bo. He's actually a real person, and he wants to be a better human for his girlfriend, his team, and himself. Doesn't have a lot of energy right now and not a ton of motivation to follow through on a few current projects. He wants better mental health. So I'm going to show you how Bo uses Kilo. Bo checks in with Kilo daily on 9 qualitative markers. He opens Kilo in the morning to rate his sleep, libido, AM workout, energy, and motivation. He comes back in the evening to check in on the quality of his relationship, mood, sociability, and work. Bo becomes more self-aware with each check-in. In return for Bo's diligence, Kilo gives him actionable data visualizations, which include energy, motivation, and relationship. Kilo is honest about his downgrades as well, like his downgrade in his morning workout. And Bo receives personalized insights. During his PM check-in, Bo learns more about how his head, his heart, and his body are doing. Today, he wants to know more about how his head's doing. He clicks on the insight, clicks more, and is able to read the insight. He's able to give Kilo feedback on if it's helpful. Kilo learns, and Bo becomes more insightful. Bo optimizes his life using Kilo and experiences positive lifestyle and behavioral changes. So let's take a look at the revenue model. We do have a freemium version, as well as a B2C premium version with personalized insights, which will include AI and ML in the background. Also in the works, we have a B2B Kilo Command dashboard for therapists, men's coaching organizations, personal trainers, employers, and health insurance companies to get insight into men's mental health and to save our economy millions of dollars. Here's a little bit more about our team. Tara Nilsson's our product designer, Xander Oxman's our advisor, and we're week 20, so about 5 months into building Kilo. Currently, I'm raising a pre-seed round of $600K, but we broke that off into a chunk of $250K on a convertible note that we're closing by the end of February. If you want to know more, please email me, bender@kilo.app. Thank you for your eyeballs and your brain. Mahalo.
All right, advisors, hop in with feedback. Thanks so much, Bender.
So Thank you, Bender. That was great. Certainly agree that the opportunity that's in the mental space, especially now as we're all adjusting to what the world is and what it's going to be, and very, very good job and beautiful user interface. I think, I think for me, I just would love to hear, with men not being the most open, to your point about chasing our mental health and acknowledging issues that we may have, and just curious as to how you plan to market to us, and a little bit more about your acquisition strategy.
Yeah, so we're really targeted on Gen Zers, who we believe will really create a new social narrative around men's mental health and sharing of emotions. So instead of saying, I don't feel comfortable sharing my feelings, it's more like, why aren't you sharing your feelings? So we're targeting people people that identify as men, like 18 to 25, first and foremost, through media influencers, using podcast, and also referral program.
Got it. Awesome. And then, would love to hear more about the round and how you plan on spending the money.
Yes, so with the 600K, we plan to make 5 to 6 hires. Some of those hires will be part of the current development team, bring on Tara, our product designer, full-time, as well as marketing and advertising and monthly subscriptions that we currently pay in the background. And then the 250K that I mentioned is a chunk that we're raising by the end of February on the convertible note. So after that, the terms will change.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, AJ.
Thank you, Bender. Being married to one of those guys you're talking about, I can certainly appreciate what you're doing. So thank you for that. Is your app currently live or is it still under development?
Still under development. We're in week 20.
Okay, great. And so what are some of the key metrics that your team, your management team, are focusing on?
So we will be focusing on daily adoption. We know that it's difficult for anyone to create a new behavior. We know on average it takes about 21 days to create a new behavior. So we're actually using SMS message to send men a reminder and then have the link there. So that's one way. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
No, my question was, what are some of the key metrics that you and your team are focusing on?
So user adoption, also what screens men are spending the most time on, what markers they are actually engaging with the most. So we have 9 qualitative markers that have been shown to help increase mental health, anything from libido to relationships to quality of sleep, with the idea that over time, men will be able to personalize the markers. And then also the referral program. So the last thing I'll say is if your husband is referring 10 of his friends, that's awesome.
I think the biggest challenge is trying to find what's going to drive them to the app. Creating the right marketing strategies, linking it to something else that will cause them to take a pause and really focus on their mental health, which I think is really key in this environment. And I think it's one of the biggest challenges we as leaders have is making sure that our families and our teams are mentally and physically healthy in this COVID environment. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for your questions.
I think this is awesome. I was actually a psych major in college and thought about going into therapy at one point. Didn't go that route, but I think, like you said, a huge part of this is kind of redefining like the overall national and global narrative around like seeking help for mental health. Like to that end, like do you guys have a plan around like thought leadership or content creation or anything like that to try to reshape that narrative?
Yes, we do. We've actually partnered with someone recently who created a documentary and also a podcast around men's mental health. So I'll be working with him on like commercial spots and other influencers to start getting the word out about Kilo. Also in December, I want to host the first virtual men's mental health conference. I haven't ever seen anything out there. So that will be something Kilo is focused on, as well as focusing on May, which is Men's Mental Health Month, to drive more awareness and interest in Kilo.
Awesome. That's great.
You all can come.
I love it.
We'll put it on our calendars. Thanks so much, Bender. And there's 2 questions in the Q&A function if you want to answer them from the audience over chat. All right. So thank you, advisors and Bender, for sharing your perspective with us. Last but not least, we're going to have Tony Rice, who's the CEO and founder of Unarmed, share his mission and story with you. So Tony, take it away.
Thank you, .LA. Thank you, panelists and everybody joining in the audience. Super excited to talk to you all today. In 2001, when I was 17 years old, I was pulled over by a police officer who ran to my car and pulled his gun and pointed it at my head. My first reaction was to look at my younger brother who was in the passenger seat. The fear on his face still sticks with me today. Fast forward to 2017, I was driving from my parents' house down Vernon. Right after I passed Arlington, a police officer pulled me over. He didn't ask me for my license or my registration, but what he did ask me is if I was on parole. Unfortunately, situations like this happen too often to people that look like me. And a part of me thinks that I'm lucky because others weren't. Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, only a few of the people where those situations went a different way. And so it came to a question of how widespread is this issue? And so I started to dig through the data and saw a huge disparity around the negative impacts or influences that happen on people in our community, as well as how does that then translate into complaints. There was a huge difference in the data associated with it. So I put in my consulting and data hat and decided to create a platform that could provide that data and that level of transparency to make sure that there's true police reform in this country. Unarmed is a technology company that serves the public sector. Our product is a subscription-based SaaS platform that manages compliments and complaints about law enforcement. There's 2 components to our platform. One is the portal and the other is a dashboard. Imagine that you're here in LA, you go to a protest and you have a negative experience with a police officer and want to make a complaint. You would then Google, let's say LAPD police complaint. It'll bring you to the LAPD website or a civilian oversight website where you click a link that says make a complaint. That takes you over to our platform. There, you fill out your information and submit what we call a case, which is either a compliment or a complaint. And afterwards, you get a tracking number. That information then seamlessly goes over to a dashboard where oversight officials or somebody in internal affairs can then manage that to completion. And you can use that tracking number to track the status of that case at any point. We use an annual subscription model that ranges from $50,000 to $150,000. Here, you'll see a lot of the different features that we offer for the platform. From a market perspective, we started off reaching out to oversight agencies. The good thing is about having government agencies as your potential customers is that a lot of their email addresses are actually public. And so I've cold emailed so many different people in different oversight positions and have been actively engaged with more than 20 oversight agencies across the country. From oversight agencies, we're going to move into police, which has a larger market, but ultimately we want to provide a variety of products in the public safety space. From a competition perspective, when it comes to technology, as you can see from some of these screenshots, the technology that exists today is very outdated. More importantly, from an online perspective, there's not actually accessibility to fill out a case for most agencies. Actually, here in LA, they do have an online form, but it's actually a Google form. And if you know anything about Google Forms, you can just imagine what that would look like on the back end. From a data perspective, on our portal side, we actually have standard reports from total compliments, total complaints to complaints by allegations. So then again, use of force, and those are updated real time. A big thing here is also accessibility. As somebody who lives in LA, there's a lot of different languages that are spoken here. And so being able to translate those languages are really important. And lastly, we're looking at developing artificial intelligence that will scrape places like Twitter and identify potential complaints that are brought right into the platform. But the products that are out there right now just don't have the same level of functionality that our platform provides. The closest thing that's out there is actually something that Oakland did, and they spent more than $300,000 on that particular platform. So again, thinking about our lowest tier of our product at $50,000, our product provides a huge value. From a team perspective, my background, I have an undergrad from Boston University in business, as well as an MBA and a master's of higher education from the University of Michigan. I've actually been consulting with a lot of different cities here in California as an IT project manager on behalf of the city, working with a vendor. So I have unique insight to the obstacles that cities face, as well as the procurement process. As perspective, I'm looking at raising 500,000 next quarter. 400,000 of that will be around salary, benefits, taxes, other operational costs, and the other 100,000 dedicated to design and development, which I currently outsource. At the bottom, you'll see not only when our particular levels will be launched, but also the total number of customers and the total revenue. Thank you all for your time, and I'm excited to hear your comments and feedback.
Thanks so much, Tony, for sharing. Advisors, feel free to give some feedback.
I am unable to start my video, but Tony, thank you for sharing that. It's always amazing to hear, even though unfortunate, what really drives people to feed a need and create something that they feel that needs to exist. Especially, I think the timing for it could not be better. So I think clearly understand the opportunity, but I would love to outside of the user experience, it sounds like there are a few other solutions that other cities and municipalities, I would love to hear what you believe that would make Unarmed well positioned to kind of become a category leader in this specific vertical.
That portal aspect is kind of our biggest differentiator. Again, right now, a lot of cities, I talked to one city that as of last year, we're still taking complaints via fax. And so if you think about now where people have apps and are readily accessible to do a lot of things on the internet, I can track my food when I order it until it gets to the door. Being not able to do those type of things for something as personal as a complaint is really problematic. And so that portal aspect is one of our biggest differentiators in the sense of capturing information that's accessible and being able to seamlessly move that data over to that dashboard component.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And then, in terms of your product roadmap, is this specific use case here kind of the end all be all, or do you see this being applied to other ways for reporting on various issues?
Yeah, it's a great question. Initially, we just thought of it as a civilian oversight agency, but then as we started talking to cities, we went to counties and actually started talking to universities. So if you think about law enforcement generally, there's a lot of different ways that it goes. People also brought up probation officers and kind of the power dynamic that happens there, and therefore, and people who are on probation, their ability to have a voice in that matter, as well as lawyers. So you think about like the American Bar Association, when lawyers have misconduct, what's the best way to be able to capture it? So there's multiple different applications of this particular product.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Tony. This is the real deal, not just for people that look like you and I, but this is for the safety and wellness for everyone. I'm really impressed with your model. As I was sitting here thinking about it, I was thinking along the lines of marketing and awareness. And my question is, how will you market this business and drive the civilians to your site? What are your thoughts around?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so we actually use our platform for, like, cities use our platform. And so it's actually the cities where they actually drive the traffic. So if you do a LAPD, you're going to go to a city website and do it. And so there's an opportunity there, and then we'll use, AdWords, et cetera, to help drive traffic to those. We thought about initially just having our own app, but what we found by doing this as private label has been helpful for people to have the trust that there's an actual mechanism in place to follow up on the complaint. And that was our biggest thing. If we were just a standalone app, we wouldn't be able to do the investigations and provide that level of feedback to the people who actually submitted it. And so we decided then to partner with the cities and be able to do it that way.
So the complaints will then go to the city, and then it's up to them to find a resolution.
Yeah, and I've never even heard of a civilian oversight agency until I started doing this, and I don't think most people do. And so what I've been talking to particular civilian oversight agencies is like, how can we make people more aware of what you've done? And once we can do that here in LA, then how can we do that in Baltimore and in New York and other places to make sure communities, especially community of color, know that there's a specific agency and mechanism for their voice, for their complaints to actually go through a full process versus it just gets submitted and then goes to nowhere.
I think the time is now, and I really thank you. I'm impressed with your business model, and my best to you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, I think this is really important work that you're doing, Tony. I think my question would be, and I think part of it is just like having more quantitative data around it and having more social pressure. But what is the step, I guess, between tracking and organizing these complaints and ensuring that there's actually some type of action or resolution?
Yeah, the good thing is that these agencies, that is their job. Their job is to make sure that these complaints actually come to some conclusion. And so the good thing is that most cities, large cities, I would say, have this agency in place and it's a part of the city to actually follow up on them. And so that is, I think, a huge component of this. And again, something that I didn't even realize exists, and I don't think most people do, but they do have differing powers, like say, for example, investigative power. Some have that, some don't. Some just are aware of it, but all of them should be able to update that information that is in those reports that are public facing.
Makes sense.
All right, that wraps up the last presentation. Tony, thank you so much for sharing your story behind the mission to start the company and what you guys are doing. So listen, thank you so much again to all of our companies for sharing their passion and their mission with us today, our advisors for sharing their advice and their feedback. I think it's always really interesting as someone who potentially might want to start a company today to see how you think about investing in these companies, think about the questions. So it's really helpful for audience members to see that side of the process as well. And then of course, thank you to our audience for, for joining us today and taking time out to hear from these really awesome companies and what they're doing. So I also wanted to say a big thank you to Bank of America for being our co-host and our partner today in this event, focusing on promoting diversity and underrepresented founders in the Los Angeles community. So thank you again for all of your work and collaboration on this. If you want to connect with any of these companies, a bunch of the emails are in the chat function right now, or otherwise there's going to be a playback of the event posted on the .LA website by the end of the day, if you want to go back or share it with anyone that wasn't able to join us today. And then if you want to hear more about what we're doing at .LA, make sure you subscribe to our daily newsletter, check out our sites, subscribe to all of our social channels. We have a lot of events and videos coming out all the time, so make sure that you stay up to date on all of that. And also stay tuned for our next pitch event. It's going to be Thursday, March 4th. We're going to be focusing on female founders in Southern California. And then we also host strategy sessions. We're just doing a lot here at .LA. We're going to be having one next week focusing on content moderation and Section 230, which will be partnering with Fenwick. So that was a lot for me. Thank you again to all of our companies, our audience, and our advisors. That is it from us for today. So have a good